about, and you're going to receive the best results. And I kind of knew right away that I wanted to do something with the animal shelter, and the reason why is kind of personal. All my life I've grown up with animals in the house, and I can't ever remember a time where it's ever just been one. We've always had, I think, at least 3 animals in the house at any time. And as of now, we actually have 7 cats and 1 dog. And a lot of people kind of react the same way when I say the 7 cats part. That kind of freaks some people out. It's a pretty crazy number to have in one household at one time. But what's really crazy is that they were all strays that we took in. And I'd kind of just like to introduce you guys to them really quick. This is Buddy, and Buddy was a stray that just kind of showed up in our yard one day on a Memorial Day weekend. And my brother and I have been wanting a dog for a long time, so we kind of begged to keep him, and here we are 10 years later. This is Isabel. She's kind of the poster cat for homeless animals. My mom was doing foreclosures for her job, and she came across an abandoned house that had quite a few cats running around. And she was able to pick up Isabel, and she actually had a sibling, Isidore, but he died of feline leukemia shortly after we got him. But Isabel is still alive and kicking, and she's probably one of the sweetest cats I've ever had. This is Snickers, and we have some friends that live out in the country, and because they live in the country, they get a lot of animals kind of just dropped in their driveway a lot that people just kind of throw out. And knowing us, they knew that we were really big cat lovers, and they brought her to us, and she was about the size of your hand. She could fit in your palm when we got her. And as soon as my mom saw her, we all pretty much fell in love. We call her Snickers because, as you can see, it's kind of divided down her chin, and it just kind of reminded me of a Snickers bar between the nugget and the chocolate, so that's how she got her name. This eyeball is Chewy. She likes to lay in weird positions, and we got her the same way. Her and her sister Panda, who I'll talk about later. They were just dropped in their driveway, and they brought them to us, and they just became part of the family. And Chewy got her name because she does like to chew on things and people, but she's not like a big, like a biter. It's just kind of like teething, chewing, and that's how she got her name. This is a picture of Oreo's grave. We actually couldn't find one of her. She actually passed away this January, the night before my birthday. And she came in our yard as a stray too. We were just kind of out in our shed and heard a little rustling around, and she ended up being there. And so we took her in, and we kind of kept her outside for a little while so she could kind of cultivate through the rest of the animals, kind of get them used to each other. And sure enough, a couple weeks later, she ended up pregnant with 5 kids. And we have 3 of them still today. One ran away with his little kid, and we don't really know what happened to him. And one is actually with my uncle right now. But this is one of them. Her name is Minnie, and we call her Minnie because she actually looks a lot like her mother. And she has kind of the same demeanor. She's very sweet, and she's kind of shy, but she's a very good cat. And this is Scarlet. Scarlet actually used to be Scarface, and then we found out she was a girl. So now she's Scarlet. And the black one is the other one of her litter. Panda's not. Panda's the one that's Chewy's sister. Tux is the black one, and he's the man of the house now, since we actually had a cat named Bearcat that disappeared last September. And Panda is my best friend. She sleeps with me every night on my head, and she gets ready for bed with me, and she's just, I don't know what I would do without her. And knowing how many strays had come to us just through that, just being strays, I kind of wondered how many there were in the world, and I did a little bit of research on that, and found out that there are over 5 million animals that end up in shelters every year just from being strays and from being abandoned, and that over 3 million of them end up euthanized. And that's a lot. And on average, it costs U.S. taxpayers approximately $100 to capture, house, and feed, and eventually euthanize all of them. Once they do it, euthanize. And I kind of have a little quiz for you guys, because homeless animals do outnumber homeless people. And I kind of want to see a show of hands. Who thinks that it's A, 2-1? Who thinks that it's B, 3-1? Who thinks that it's C, 4-1? And how about D, 5-1? D is correct. Yes. Homeless animals outnumber homeless people 5-1. And thinking about how many, that's a giant number, and when you think about how many there are, it kind of brings you to how much that must cost. Knowing that the shelter takes in so many of them, and they do such a good job of it, there's so many that need to be taken care of, and that's just a lot of money to have to come up with, because the shelter is a donation-based organization, and, it's just, this is kind of just a little chart to show you guys how they overpopulate so quickly from unspaying them, and the pamphlets you guys have are from the HAS organization to kind of give you an idea of all the services that they provide. But this just kind of shows you, if you have one unspayed female cat and her mate, they usually can have about 2 litters a year, and if you average out about 3 that survive in each litter, it can add up to about 400 offspring in just 3 years. So spaying your pets and neutering them is very, very important to keep population down. And going back to the cost thing, when you think about how many there are, how many the shelter takes in, and the fact that they use donations, you got to think about how much that must cost them to take care of all of them. So I have a little chart that just kind of shows a little bit of the price range of how much annually it takes to take care of an animal. And because I think there's a lot of costs that people don't think about, like litter boxes, and the fact that you need cages to carry them in, the medical bills, and just different costs that I don't think many people think about, that it actually adds up to quite a bit. And you got to think about how many the shelter takes care of. That's a lot of money. And that brings me to my big question, which was, how can I help the animal shelter relieve some of that financial burden? And I had a couple ideas. My first one, I really wanted to do an adoption day, because I thought that was going to be the best way to really help them kind of relieve that financial burden through getting some of the animals adopted so they could take in more and give them homes. And that kind of fell through, because you really have to think of the animals first. And I wanted to transport them to the school and have it outside on a nice sunny day, and there's a lot more involved in that than I thought. So I thought I'd go a little easier route, and I was looking through their website to find something else that I could do, and I came across their wish list. And I saw that they had tie blankets on there because they use them for beds, and I thought that was pretty interesting. And I've made some before. I don't know if any of you guys have. They're pretty fun to make, and they last long. They're just a really good craft project. And knowing that they needed those and that I like making them, I thought that I'd tie kind of 2 loves together and make tie blankets for the shelter. And my plan of action was, I had 2 different ways. I did a hot bottle drive at the school. Some of you guys may see the posters or the boxes around. And I also took donations outside of school from teachers and friends and family to kind of up the money to have a little bit more money to spend on the blankets, because the fabric can be pretty expensive. And I also had a little donation drive that didn't go very well. I set it up at the Maple Syrup Festival and only raised about $6 in 2 hours, and I had to sit outside in the 45-degree weather that day, and it wasn't very fun. It was kind of disheartening. But I also set it up at the mom-to-mom sale that we had here on May 3rd for the little yard sale that all the moms have together, and raised about $31 in all with the first donation event, and it helped a lot. Next, I took the cans back. I kind of just little slideshow pictures of taking all the cans back. I wore gloves because it's kind of gross and smelly, especially because we had to go to Walmart because we had so many you have to do them by hand, and that's a pretty gross process, but it's worth it. We ended up actually filling 3 carts on 2 different occasions, and that was really good because it helped out with the money. That you don't think about it, but the bottles actually do add up. And once I had all the money collected from the bottles and all the donations, I headed over to Joann's to buy my fabric. And I think these are a little off place. I was able to buy 20 yards of fabric with the money that I had raised, mostly through the cans. And the 20 yards is actually all that I needed for the project, because my goal was to make 10 blankets, and that's exactly what I got. So that was really nice. And I ended up spending $84 on it, about $85. And when you see the regular price is about $10, and I got them for $4 a yard. I got them on sale, and that really helped out with getting all the yards that I needed. And I put in some pictures here of me making the blankets, because it's kind of a long process. It's more painful than anything. You got to make 10 of them, and it takes about an hour to make each, and there's so much cutting involved. I actually ended up having to wear a glove under the scissors for a while because it was giving me blisters. But it's fun to make them. It's definitely a good feeling to see the outcome. And I made 10 blankets, so it was about 10 hours of work. 6 hours of that was probably about 1 day, so that was pretty insane. But I was really proud to get them all out. And at the little chart, my total money raised. I raised $92.10 just from the cans, and my donation drive, like I said, was about $31, $34, or $32, and my total was $123.64. And having said that, I would like to present, we have Mark Brown here from the animal shelter, from the HATS program, and I have 2 boxes here of the blankets that I'd like to present to you. And I also sprung and used the rest of the donation money and got you guys about a $40 gift card for Solden. So. Through my research, I came across a quote, and I feel like quotes kind of reach out to people more than facts and statistics. So this quote kind of spoke to me. It's, "He who is cruel to animals is also hard in his dealings with men, and we can judge the heart of a man by his treatment of animals." And that last part is what really spoke to me, and I'd really just like for everyone to keep that in mind the next time that they find a stray in their yard or they're thinking about giving up their animal. Because if there's one thing that I've learned from animals, it's that they truly are man's best friend, because they ask no questions and they pass no criticism, and I just feel like all they do is love and feel grateful, and they just trust you, and I just kind of feel like we owe them that same gratitude in return. I just have some special thanks to the main can donators and the people that helped me take them back, and to Mark Brown and the HATS organization for all their help in my project, and to Join Fabrics for the fabric. So thank you guys for being very patient with all this.